Bahamas employs over 500 people. Of the 500, how many of them do you think are Bahamian?
About 3/4.
Okay.
I will say 80%.
I would say all.
All?
I would say about 98%.
98%.
Yes.
I was going about 80%, so but 98 sounds better.
I'd say 80%.
I think about 95% of them are Bahamian, yes.
What if I told you 99%?
99% of the people is Bahamian?
99%.
That's true?
Excellent.
Yeah? So Cable Bahamas is entirely for the Bahamian people.
That is correct. Cable Bahamas is widely represented by Bahamians.
Well, now you know.
Bad news for the Bahamar project as the resort files for bankruptcy and sends all workers home. We've got different angles on that major story. I'm Kyle Joaquin, and NB12 starts right now. Topping news tonight, the country shaken this afternoon by news of the $3.5 billion Bahamar resort filing Chapter 11 bankruptcy in the United States, a move that saw the resort effectively end operations, leaving the future of the major development unclear. Our Dana Smith was there as staff members were sent home. Here's her report.
Bahamar CEO Sarkis Ismirlian and Bahamar Vice President Robert Sands were both seen entering the building as scores of Bahamar employees walked off the site today, letters in hand informing them the multi-billion-dollar resort had just filed for bankruptcy. In a statement, Bahamar said its board of directors has determined that due to the financial consequences of the repeated delays and the resulting loss of revenue, the Chapter 11 process is the best path to provide the time to put in place a viable capital structure and working relationships to complete construction and successfully open Bahamar. The letter received by employees and signed by Ismirlian states, "Many of you know that I fight for what I believe in. Do not give up. I am not. Opening Bahamar will be a great accomplishment, and one of which I will do my best to make you a part." Many Bahamar employees were reluctant to appear on camera, but said the unexpected news came as a blow.
Everyone is not happy, but we're hoping for the best. We don't know what we're going to do now, and we don't know what's going to come of it, but we have hope in Bahamar because this project is too big to fail. So we're just going off of faith and hope. This employee, who did not want to be identified, said the news came as a shock to employees. No, we were not prepared. We didn't see this at all. They didn't even tell us this earlier today. We just saw the email just now. We saw the letter just now. They said everyone must go home. So we're leaving. She said she's unsure of what the future may hold, but has faith the resort will open eventually. I'm unsure of the future. I really am unsure, but I do have faith that the owners will open Bahamar because they walk around the offices every day. They interact with us every day. They also, they're really friendly, and they see that we're hurting. They see what the government is doing. They see everything. So they're going to do whatever it takes to make sure Bahamar open. Prior to this, one employee who was sent home early said he was told employees had to go home because Bahamar was fumigating the building. When asked, he was at the time unaware of Bahamar's bankruptcy, and he expressed confidence in his job.
At this point, no. I'm confident that Bahamar is going to open. I'm not sure when, but I do know that it's going to open. So I'm confident in my job.
Bahamar Vice President Robert Sands did not want to appear on camera, but he told our news team over the phone employees are being asked not to come into work. But he stressed no one has been fired, and employees are still receiving their wages. However, he added, if things aren't worked out with Bahamar's lender, Bahamar would have to make some extremely difficult decisions, which may include workforce reductions.
As we are not presently operational, and while we deal with the Chapter 11 process,
we are asking most of our employees not to physically come into work for the time being. We will do our best to use the next few weeks to continue to try and reach a consensual agreement with our lender. However, if an agreement cannot be reached, we will have to make some extremely difficult decisions that would include workforce reductions. At this time, we cannot speculate about what that would mean.
The bankruptcy news comes just weeks after Prime Minister Perry Christie said in the House of Assembly he had received good news about the project, although he did not explain what that meant. Up to press time today, our news team understands Prime Minister Perry Christie had called an emergency cabinet meeting to discuss the issue. In his statement, Ismailian once again placed blame on the contractor for the repeated delays. He said, the general contractor repeatedly has missed construction deadlines. This has caused both sizable delay costs and forced the resort to postpone its opening. Unable to open, the resort has been left without a sufficient source of revenue to continue our existing business. The resort's opening has already been delayed 3 times now, and it's unclear when another date will be announced. From Bahamar for NB12, I'm Dana Smith.
According to court filings, Bahamar has more than 1,000 creditors. Many of those are Bahamian businesses with no idea when they will be paid. Vonik Toot takes a look at that extensive list.
According to documents obtained by NB12, Bahamar's top 20 creditors are owed upwards of $120 million. The top 3 creditors are China Construction America, the Bahamas Electricity Corporation, and Yates Osprey Joint Venture. Executive Chairman of BEC Leslie Miller revealed today that Bahamar owes the cash-strapped corporation around $24 million. He suggested government has not done enough to get that resort open.
China Construction held the biggest chunk of those outstanding claims against Bahamar, with a hefty claim of over $72 million, while construction firm Yates Osprey is owed more than $5 million. Also on the list of Bahamar's creditors is Cable Bahamas Limited, which is owed $1.4 million. As for BEC, which is owed over $20 million, Miller said he doubts the corporation would suffer as one of the top creditors. However, he stressed the need for the developer to succeed and suggested government has not done enough.
I don't think any of them have been doing what is necessary to complete the project. You cannot sit here in Nassau and meet with Ismailian and the people here. You must go to China. The loans are coming from where? The Chinese Import-Export Bank. They're the decision makers. China Construction is what? Owned by the Chinese government. Therefore, you go and sit down with the minister responsible or with the president of China. Sit with them and say, listen, man, I understand you may have some problems with Ismailian and his group. Fine. He might have cursed you the construction company. He also blasted the prime minister a little bit. It is above them. You're talking now about my country. The Bahamas is more important than Ismailians and anybody else.
Miller suggested that government should invest in the project if it would help the developer complete the multi-billion-dollar resort, which has seen its opening delayed 3 times. He says there are just too many jobs at stake.
I believe that is inherent upon this government to do it now. They should have done it 2 months ago. They should have done it 3 months ago. That the prime minister or the deputy prime minister go to Beijing, sit with the Chinese officials and get Bahamar open. Even if we got to take an equity stake in Bahamar to the tune of about $300 million, we should do so. 5,000 jobs at stake.
Miller added that aside from crime, the delay in the opening of Bahamar is the greatest concern in the country.
The number 1 problem in this country right now is crime. The number 2, in my opinion, is getting Bahamar open. The government must do all in its power to see to it that Bahamar becomes an operational entity, that it becomes the entity it was intended to be, which is a world-class resort, and we should do everything within our powers to assist Mr. Ismailian to go to China, as I said 6 weeks ago. I told the PM 6 weeks ago, go to Beijing, take James Smith with you, take Obi Welchcombe with you, take Michael Keaters, take your AG with you.
Opposition leader Dr. Hubert Minnis released a statement this evening saying the shocking news that Bahamar has filed for bankruptcy in the United States has caused disquiet and even a sense of alarm in our society. The Free National Movement is particularly concerned about the well-being and job security of the thousands of Bahamians presently employed by Bahamar. The party is in discussion now with various stakeholders determining the details surrounding the decision and the accuracy of the various reports issued by government officials, including the Prime Minister, in recent days. Reporting for NB12, I'm Vonnie Toot.
All this happening as Minister of Foreign Affairs Fred Mitchell claimed today the Prime Minister was working hard to help find some sort of resolution and was trying to protect Bahamian jobs.
This thing has to open. There's a lot riding on it. Not only from the employment point of view, from our country's reputation, from the tourism mix that we have, all of these things, the lot riding on it. So it's very important, and the Prime Minister has been very engaged in making sure that it takes place and happens.
According to Mitchell, the government has agreed to pay Bahamar millions owed for roadworks. While he did not say how much, the Foreign Affairs Minister told NB12 today that it's just one of the ways the government is assisting the developer with ensuring people stay on at the multi-billion-dollar resort.
And the government itself has made it possible for employees to stay on by advancing certain monies to the project based on there was a dispute about the road works and so on and so forth. And so those monies, I think, some kind of settlement from the government has come, and the government has put its money. So hopefully the jobs of the Bahamians who were taken on will be protected. So we want to make sure that that happens.
Under an agreement signed under the previous Ingram administration, the government agreed it would pay $48 million to Bahamar if the cost to refigure West Bay Street exceeded $70 million. If the figure was less than $70 million, the government would pay 50%. Bahamar officials claimed the road rerouting had cost $118 million. However, that was nearly double what government argued was only valued at $58 million. The two sides have been unable to agree on how much money was still owed to Bahamar since 2013. Now, the Foreign Affairs Minister says proposals are on the table for the project to be finished, but final decisions now lie with the developer, Sarkis Merlion. Mitchell says the project is simply too big and has too much riding on it for the government to sit back and allow it to fail.
So there's no possible way that the leader of the government would not be engaged at the highest levels in trying to make this work. I know for a fact that almost every day last week, certainly he was up until 10, 11 o'clock at night just waiting on calls with the president of the China Export-Import Bank as the financiers of this project. And he's had the three parties in, the contractor on the one hand, the developer on the other hand, and has been speaking to the highest levels of the bank.
Mitchell says from what he understands, one of the franchisers at Bahamar has resumed taking reservations. However, he could not say whether government was given a date as to when the resort would see its long-awaited grand opening.